So let's now have a look at some volume accumulation trading examples. The chart which I have here is the euro dollar. It's a 30-minute chart, 30-minute time frame. This is my preferred time frame for intraday trading. If you want, you can use lower time frames like 15-minute charts or 5-minute charts, but those charts will only add the number of candles. They won't change the volumes you will see in the charts. So only the number of candles will be different, and it could be actually a bit harder to read when you have that many candles. So in my opinion, the sweet spot here is the 30-minute chart, ideal for intraday trading analysis. So let's have a look at it. This is the beginning of this year, and right there is a nice price rotation from which strong buying activity starts. What I like about this rotation is that there were also rejections of lower prices, 2 rejections of lower prices, which means aggressive buyers rejecting the lower prices. So this is aggressivity of buyers. And afterwards, as you can see from this rotation, this buying activity starts, which is another sign of buyers. And those buyers were building up their positions in this rotation in here. So what we will do is we will draw the flexible profile over this area to see where the volumes were the heaviest. All right, it was in here. Heaviest volumes within the rotation were in here. So what we do is we wait for the price to return to this level, and from here you go long. All right. So let's move forward a bit. And in here, there is nice rotation right there. And also there is nice rejection of lower prices. This is nice bonus, nice addition to this rotation. And afterwards you can see aggressive buying candle and strong buying activity. So in this rotation, buyers were building up their buying positions, and afterwards they rejected lower prices and started pushing the price upwards. So what you do is you use the flexible profile over the rotation like this, and it will show you where the volumes were the heaviest. And it was in here. This is the place where the volumes were the heaviest. So we draw a line and we wait for the price to make it back to this level again. The price makes it to the level back again and you go long. You don't wait for any sort of confirmation. You enter a long trade from there. All right, very nice reaction in here. Now another place where there was a very nice case of a volume accumulation setup was in here, this rotation followed by this selling activity. So we use the flexible profile like this to see where the volumes were the heaviest. It was in here. This is the point of control of this rotation area. So we draw the line from there and wait. The price goes downwards. There's some rotation. The price makes a pullback. And you go short from there. All right. Another case of volume accumulation setup in here. This rotation followed by this buying activity. So you stretch the profile over this area, over the rotation, draw the line, wait for a pullback. Nice reaction. Now, in here, there's a big rotation before a strong movement. So I'm pretty sure that strong buyers were adding to their buying positions in here. And in case like that, when there's a wider and bigger rotation, you can do it in 2 ways. First way is you can only focus on this rotation, which took place right before this buying activity, Or the other option is to take this whole rotation. Alright? Both cases are quite okay, and sometimes also the level which those two options produce is basically the same level. Alright, sometimes it's the same level. So let's first have a look at this rotation. Heaviest volumes being in here. As you can see, the price is reacting very nicely to those volumes. And if we take into consideration this whole area, then the heaviest volumes are actually in here. Right there. As you can see, there was also a very nice reaction to this level. So in this case, both approaches worked pretty nicely. If we move on, then there's another nice case of volume accumulation setup in here. Rotation followed by a trend. So we use the profile over this period, and this would be a very nice level to go short from. You just need to wait for a pullback. Unfortunately, it seems that the price just didn't reach the level. So no trade there. Alright. So let's go back. And there's also one case of volume accumulation setup in here. So I use the profile for this whole area, and this should be the level to go long from, this one. Unfortunately, there was this strong selling candle, and it was macro candle, it was macroeconomic news. We don't trade during the news, so there was no trade. If you were trading trade like that, it would be pretty crazy to take, alright? So no trade in macro news. As you can see, there was absolutely no reaction to the level. There's a big rotation in here, but no strong buying or selling activities, so we need to move forward to search for some new levels. Right here, within this rotation, there is a smaller rotation in here, followed by selling activity. It's not that strong selling activity, it's not that significant, but it's not that bad level to trade, alright? So let's stretch the profile over this rotation, heaviest volumes being in here. So you wait for pullback, and in here it seems the level got tested. So I probably wouldn't take the trade again. But if I was trading using simple limit orders, and if I didn't discard the level after it almost got tested, then it would be a profitable trade. Alright. I usually discard trades when the price turns a little bit before them, but there are a lot of people in my course who trade with limit orders, and it also works very nicely. Alright, so let's move forward. Now, what I would like to show you in here is a weak high. This one. There is a rotation right there, followed by strong selling activity, but the high is pretty weak. And as I said, I'm not taking trades like that because the price tends to overshoot weak highs and test above them. So the level in this case would be in here. This would be the level, but as you can see, the price just went past it to test above the weak high. Alright, so this wouldn't be a nice trade, but again, this is mostly because of the weak high. The price just went past it to test above it. So we'll look for those. It's not very safe to trade close to them. Now here is one big rotation, this one. So let's stretch the profile over the rotation to see where the volumes were the heaviest. It's in here. As you can see from this rotation, there's strong buying activity, strong buyers pushing the price upwards, which is a sign that in this rotation, buyers were adding to their buying positions. So you wait for pullback and you go long from there. A very nice reaction to the heavy volumes. All right. By the way, second test, also very strong reaction. And also, as I said before, you can use this whole rotation or only this little rotation which took place before the buying activity. So if I look into this rotation, it gives me basically the same level. All right, let me show you the whole profile. In this case, it was a little bit lower, but both cases worked pretty nicely. So let's move forward. There was a rotation followed by a strong buying activity, very nicely visible in here. So let's use the profile into the rotation, and this is the place where the heaviest volumes were accumulated. First, the price turned a little bit before the level. I would probably discard the level after the test, and with the limit order, this level didn't really work. There was a rotation around the level and then the price went past it. Alright, so even though this volume accumulation looked very nicely, in this case it wouldn't really work. So the next rotation in the chart is this big rotation. So let's use the profile over the rotation. Heaviest volumes being in here. Reaction, this one. So another nice rotation which is followed by strong selling activity is in here, this rotation, and the selling activity, aggressive selling activity is in here, and then it continues into a selling downtrend. So let's use the volume profile to look into this area to see where the volumes were the heaviest. So it was in here. This is the place where the volumes were the heaviest inside this rotation. So let's now have a look how the price reacted. And what I wanted to say is that it doesn't really matter if the level is old, as in this case it's pretty old one, but the markets have good memory and they remember levels, especially strong levels. Alright, this is the level we have. This is the reaction to it. Crazy, right? Especially after a strong buying activity like this. You can see that the level worked very nicely, even after a month or so. Let's go back. And let's stretch the profile over this whole period. As you can see, the heaviest volumes in this whole period were in here. So this is probably why the price reacted so nicely and so aggressively to the level, because it was point of control of this big and significant area. Most likely it was a weekly point of control. Alright, so this was very strong level to go short from, even though it was pretty old. So let's move on. Another rotation is in here. So let's use the profile to check where the volumes were the heaviest. In this case, it seems that the price didn't actually reach the level. There was a pullback, nice reaction, but the price didn't reach the level. So in this case, I would discard such a level. All right, let's check one more thing. only this rotation before the selling activity. Because if we used only this rotation before the selling activity, this is the option number 1 I was talking about before, then the level would be a little bit lower. And when I trade situations like this, when I have to choose between two levels, then I always choose the level which is closer to the price. And this is because I don't want to miss the trade. If the price turns and reacts to volumes in this rotation, I won't miss the trade as I would have missed if I traded this level. Also, what I noticed is when I stretch the volumes over this whole area, over this whole rotation, then it shows that the heaviest volumes are in here, which is another confluence and another confirmation of the lower level. All right, so in case like that, you want to trade the lower level. So let's move on. And let's have a look at this rotation. This rotation looks very nice because there was a rotation followed by a rejection of higher prices, which is sign of aggressive sellers rejecting higher prices. Afterwards, nice selling activity. So let me use the profile for this rotation. Heaviest volumes being in here. You mark the level, wait for a pullback, and you go short from there. Maybe you ask why I didn't choose the whole rotation area, this one, and I only chose this one. And the reason I didn't choose this area is because those volumes created within this rotation, especially those heavy volumes, got already tested with this rejection. So those volumes are tested, and I'm interested mostly in those volumes which still aren't tested. All right, so that's why I chose this level. Now there is another nice case of volume accumulation setup. In here there's a rotation, selling activity. In this case it seems that it didn't work. The trade would be from this level, from the place where the volumes were the heaviest. I would go short from there, but as you can see, the price just rotated at the level and then went upwards, so there was no reaction to the level and it would be a losing trade. Now in here, there is a rotation, rejection of higher prices, sign of aggression of sellers, and strong selling activity. So let's have a look at the rotation and at the volumes. In here, the heaviest volumes were right there. It seems that the price missed the level by just a tiny bit. We can zoom in the profile to see exactly where the heaviest volumes were. Alright, it seems that just few tenths of a pip the price missed the level, so this would probably be a missed trading opportunity. Afterwards, there is another volume accumulation setup in here. The rotation followed by strong buying activity, which is a sign of buyers in this case. So what you do is you stretch the profile over this rotation. As you can see, the heaviest volumes are right there at this price level, and this is the reaction to the level. So this one worked very nicely. Let's have a look at the last one. Let's have a look at the last volume accumulation setup on this screen. It is this rotation followed by this selling activity. If I use the profile to see where the volumes were, was in here, and a very nice reaction to it, pretty aggressive one. So another nice reaction to the volume accumulation setup. Now there's another way how to view the charts, and I really think that this is pretty interesting and helpful way how to look at the charts. The thing is that you don't use candles based on time. So in this case, it's one candle per 30 minutes, but you use volume bars, which means that after a certain amount of volumes gets accumulated, then a new bar is drawn. For example, if I set one bar per 10,000 lots, then after 10,000 lots, a bar would get completed. Then a new bar will start forming, and after another 10,000 lots, the candle will close and another one will start forming. And the reason I think this is that useful is because when, for example, in this volume accumulation setup, you are looking for rotation, then when the candles are based on time, sometimes the volumes are not there, especially, for example, when the rotation occurs in the Asian session. But when you see a rotation which got formed using volume bars, then you know that there actually were volumes accumulated. Because there wouldn't be candles in the rotation if there weren't the volumes. Because one candle is formed after certain amount of volumes is traded there. So if there is a rotation created by volume-based candles, then you can be sure that there actually were heavy volumes created within the rotation. And this is very handy, especially when you use it with this volume accumulation setup or with other volume-based setups. So I'll now switch to the volume bars and I'll show you how the volume accumulation setup works with those kind of bars, all right? So what you do is you right-click the chart and you go to Data Series, and instead of minute, you go to volume, and in here, you need to set the value of the volumes. You need to set this number. So in this case, after 1000 lots, a new candle would form. Then after another 1000 lots gets traded, another candle would get formed. Currently I'm using kinetic data and it's showing quite big values for the volumes. So if you are using FXCM, it's quite okay to use, for example, 5 or 10,000 value in here. But because the kinetic is giving me such crazy numbers, I'm not really sure why. I need to use very high number, which in this case will be 50 million. And let's load 200 days. So the chart is loaded now, and right there you can see very nice rotation followed by strong selling activity. So again, we use the flexible profile the same way as we used it before. In this case, you can see that the heaviest volumes were in here. So we wait for a pullback and you go short from there. Again, very nice reaction to the volume accumulation setup. Only this time we are using different chart. We are using the volume bars. And now another rotation which I see here is this rotation followed by this strong selling activity. And in this case, the volumes are the heaviest in here. So you wait for pullback. When the price hits the level, you enter a short. Another nice reaction. Another one is in here as a rotation followed by strong selling activity. The short is from here. This is the reaction. Next very nice rotation is right there. This rotation is followed by strong buying activity, indicating that it's buyers who are accumulating their buying positions in here. So let's have a look where the volumes were the heaviest. It was in here, this level, So what you do, you wait for a pullback, you wait for a pullback to this level, and you enter long from there. This is the reaction to the level. Now, another possible option for the volume accumulation is this rotation area, and this is the reaction to it. Another area is this one, this rotation followed by this strong selling activity, and the heaviest volumes are in here. The price overshoots the level at first, but it's only 2 pips, and afterwards strong selling activity. So again, nice reaction to those heavy volumes formed in this rotation. Another example of the volume accumulation is in here. There's a rotation followed by a strong buying activity. But what I don't really like is that those volumes created within the rotation got sort of tested with this candle right there. It seems like the heaviest volumes, which are in here, got tested. If you remember from the theoretical part, this is the thing which I don't really like when the level gets immediately tested. So I probably wouldn't trade like this. As you can see, if I draw a line there, there was a nice reaction to it. So eventually it would be a winning trade. But probably a winning trade which I would have missed. So this is how the volume accumulation works with the volume bars. And now I would like to show you the futures for Standards and Poor's with the same setting with the volume bars. All right. So again, it will be the volume accumulation setup with the volume bars. Only the instrument will be the ES, which is futures for Standards and Poor's index. So this is the ES chart, futures for Standards and Poor's index. And let me show you how I set the volume bars. So we go to data series, and in here I used 10,000, which means that every time 10,000 contracts gets traded, the candle is closed and new candle is opened. All right, so that's the chart. And right here, there is a nice case of volume accumulation setup. There is a rotation followed by a trend, which means strong sellers were adding to their selling positions in here and afterwards pushing the price downwards. So what we do is use the flexible profile to look into this area and have a look where the volumes were the heaviest. In this case, it was in here, so let's draw a line. And what you do is you wait for a pullback and you go short from the place where the line gets hit. In this case, there's a reaction a little bit before the line. So I would probably discard the level. I wouldn't trade it anymore. As you can see, the second test worked and there was a nice reaction to the level with the second test. All right, so let's go back. And then there is this nice rotation followed by buying activity. So I use the profile over this rotation to see where the volumes were. Wasn't here. So you wait for a pullback, go long from there. All right, pretty simple. The next volume accumulation setup which I see here is this one, this rotation, nice rejection of lower prices, which is a confirmation of the buyers, afterwards strong buying activity. So let's have a look at the volumes within the rotation. Volumes were the heaviest in here. and this is the reaction. It doesn't matter if the price hits the level after a few days. Markets have good memory, especially of strong levels. Another case of volume accumulation is this rotation. Heaviest volumes being in here, and this is the reaction to it. Alright, again, very nice reaction to the heavy volumes from this rotation. Another rotation is in here, but it's within a trend, so I would call it the trend setup. Actually, the next setup I'm going to show you, but you can also call it the volume accumulation setup. Important thing is that there are volumes in rotation followed by a strong buying activity. So the heaviest volumes were in here, and this was the reaction to it. There's also another volume cluster in here, rotation followed by buying activity, but I wouldn't trade this one because there's failed auction in here. This is a weak low and also a failed auction. Those two candles and at the same price level, which is a failed auction. The level would be in here. As you can see, the price goes past it. There's no reaction to it. Another rotation followed by strong selling activity is in here. This is the rotation. Well, I should probably use the profile like this, only for the rotation. This is the level. The price goes past it, so with tight stop loss, you would probably take a losing trade in here. So in this case, the setup didn't really work. Now, another rotation in here is this one. This rotation followed by strong buying activity. So let's use the profile over the whole rotation. Heaviest volumes being in here. So we wait for pullback. First the price rotates above the level, but then it makes a nice reaction to it. Alright, so the last one will be in here. A rotation followed by strong selling activity. So again, you select the whole area, heaviest volumes being in here, and you go short from there. Nice and strong reaction. Alright, so that's for the volume accumulation setup. I hope that it's clear from all those examples which I showed you. It doesn't really matter if you work with candles based on time or on candles based on volumes. Both approaches are pretty good in my opinion. So I wish you a lot of profitable trades with this strategy, and let's move on to the next video where I'll cover next intraday trading strategy.